Yeah, everyone thinks AI is gonna fix everything, and they think it's a magic wand, like, "Ding, ding, ding," and I'm like, "Not exactly, no."
Right.
You see a lot of, like, slowdown in hiring. You're seeing a lot of people get laid off. There are many reasons for that, but one of the core reasons that I'm finding is that people think that AI is going to do all of this work, and there are a lot of things that AI can do, but the reality of the situation is that the role of the CX leader is changing. The role of the CX rep is changing.
Hello, and welcome to the CX Files. Today's guest is Ty Givens. Ty Givens is the founder of CX Collective and a trusted partner to brands that want their customer experience to be a competitive edge. CX is a competitive edge, and she's known for turning messy operations into scalable, human-centered programs that drive loyalty and growth. Over her career, she's had roles such as head of CX at leading brands, including Thrive Market, Intuit, and Sees Candies, where her achievements included cutting backlogs from 10 days to 4 hours. Ty, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I always like to start by going back into history a little bit. Like from the time that you started your career, what stood out to you as something just surprising, unexpected, or just something that caught you off guard?
That there's no right answer to what it means to deliver the customer experience. I foolishly thought that. Like, thought everybody wanted the same thing. Everybody wanted automation. Everybody wanted personalization. Everybody wanted to, have as low touch as possible and do the most volume. And what I learned is that that's not the case. Some brands are really tied to the interactions that they have with their customer. And so what that has made me do is never go into any engagement or any conversation with an assumption that I know
Hmm.
what's best for them. Instead, I just listen to what they want and then create a plan around that.
Yeah, beginning with listening is such a strong thing, and it's so easy to jump in and be prescriptive and say, "Oh, you need to do this and you need to do that, and this is the best way to do it."
Yeah, yeah. It's humbling too, especially when you make those mistakes early on and you're like, yeah, well, we can do this and we can do that and we can do this. And they're like, we don't want any of that. All we want is, we want to move our phones from this platform to this platform because we want to be able to record or we want to be able to, do CSAT on them, whatever it is. Whereas, a lot of stuff that you'll read will say most brands want to get rid of phones. And that hasn't even been my experience.
Yeah, I think there's this idea of give your customer the support that they want where they want it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you might have an incentive to drive them into something that they don't want to do, but and economically, maybe short term, the numbers check out. But long term, if you're making customers do something they don't fundamentally want to do, if they don't want to get off the phone, for example, if they really want to call you, maybe there's a way to work with that instead of forcing them down this channel.
Yeah, and there always is.
Absolutely. One of the things here again is I like to understand like where you're coming from and what perspective you're bringing here because you've had these great roles in CX, but you've had a variety of experiences throughout your career. Was there something when you were in transition or when you moved to a new role and had a new responsibility? Was there something that kind of wasn't what you expected or that was better than expected maybe?
Yeah, I'll give you examples of both. Not what I expected would be the lack of experience that leaders or people who were trusted to be leaders in CX that they actually had. Most times in the companies that I would work with, the person who was, maybe the manager or supervisor at the time was someone who had previously been on phones and was really good with customers and then got moved into the role. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only challenge that comes up is when you need to scale. And they've never actually seen an operation at scale. So that would be one of the biggest like aha moments. And then you add to that the, CEOs or whoever are hiring folks like myself in, and I'm talking about in a full-time capacity, not in a consulting capacity. they have this idea that that one person is going to be able to do all of the things that are necessary to create this experience that they have in their mind. And then when they find out that you actually need a team, there's more than one person that's behind all those things. Somehow they might look at you and go, "Well, maybe you're not the right person." It's like, "Well, no, I cannot be in the past, present, and future and work across people, process, and technology all at the same time. It's just not possible." So that I would say that's one of the things that was not as expected. On the other side of that, something that surprised me in a positive way would be the passion behind the people who were doing the work and their willingness and desire to learn more and to grow in those roles and to be the best that they could be in those roles. Like the passion was there. So I easily saw why they're in the position they're in. I just understood that the experience was lacking. And, that was part of the reason why I was there to help build that.
Absolutely. I think of mentors, I think of role models. Sorry, everybody, brief technical difficulties. We're back. The topic is leadership and support and how often people are elevated into these roles. They're excited. A lot of the team has the passion, as Ty was explaining, but they don't have an example or a track to follow. There's not a process, or if it is, it's not well implemented. There's some friction there, which I think is true across roles. It's not entirely unique to support, but maybe within the support realm, there's more opportunity to learn. There's more room to grow.
Yes.
And Ty, I know that you do consulting work and you help leaders to achieve this growth. Can you talk about some of the things that you're thinking about recently and some examples of this?
Sure. So, I mean, we do, if you think of us, someone described us as a SWAT team that kind of descends into a company and fixes CX operations from the inside out. And I really like that visual. And with AI, I need to figure out how to make it come to life. And that's a good way to think of it. So back in my Thrive Market days, when I was working there, I brought that team. I was hired in. I was the seventh person to join the support team, which was I think it was member services, what I rebranded it as. Came in as the head, but grew that team to 130 people, and I did that in 9 months. And the
So
total
10 to 130 in 9 months.
6 to 130 in 9 months.
Oh, sick. Yeah, even more. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, not that that number made a huge difference, but I mean, my gray hairs will tell you differently. It was a challenge, and what I decided through that was that I would have benefited from having what CX Collective is, which is a group of people that I could call up who were experts in that area where I didn't have to tell them how to do anything. I could just tell them what I needed from them, what my vision was, and they could execute. If CX Collective had been around in my Thrive Market days, they would have handled my training, they would have handled my workforce management, they would have handled my quality. I would have handed that stuff off gladly so that I could focus on the people. Because one of the biggest mistakes that I made was growing the team directly under me. So hiring the first cohort of 30 people under me and then trying to find leadership within that group. That was a terrible move because anytime a new leader came in, the front line is like, well, I don't have to talk to you. I can talk to Ty. So the
Mm.
queue to get to me was insane versus them using the resources that were available and designed for them. So with the way that we work, it's more so alongside typically leaders who are already in place. One of our clients, they've been around more than 30 years, but they're trying to modernize. So our job is to listen to their challenges. And then sometimes, through analysis or different things, we identify new ways that we could really be doing something different with them, present those options to them, show them what it would look like, and then actually implement that for them. And that's from the beginning to the end. So this could include, like we're working on something with CSAT right now, which I know that everyone can relate to. You finish an interaction with a customer, you send them a CSAT survey, you get a negative rating, you review the comment, and the rating is not about the experience they had with the rep. The negative comment is about the policy, but the rep takes it.
Mm.
So we're working on a new way to exclude those comments and those ratings from the agent-based CSAT. It doesn't mean that the customer is not happy with the policy. That's a totally separate thing to be reviewed. But the agent shouldn't take the brunt of that because it brings morale down. I did the best that I could. I followed your process and this customer is still not happy and now my CSAT, I'm not meeting goal. That's not fair. So
Hmm.
that's something that we work on. Another client that we're actively working with right now is rolling out their AI bot just on they have an internal help center for their paid clients. And
Hmm.
they really want to give them, more guidance, but they have one rep. And this is actually a repeat client. They worked with us 6 years ago. They came
Hmm.
back. And so, yeah, so we're working with them we're going to be actually launching that bot next Monday. And then we're going to be working on their main website and then one of their other products. So those are some of the things that we're like currently doing for people, but that's not the limit of what we can do. When people say, "What can you guys do?" I'm like, "Call me and tell me what you're facing." And there's a
Hmm.
strong chance that I can do it. And if I can't, I know somebody who can. So I'll direct you. Yeah.
Ty, so I wanted to hear what are some of the challenges that people are facing? Are there some themes or trends that you're picking up on?
Yeah, everyone thinks AI is gonna fix everything, and they think it's a magic wand, like, "Ding, ding, ding," and I'm like, "Not exactly, no."
Right.
You see a lot of, like, slowdown in hiring. You're seeing a lot of people get laid off. There are many reasons for that, but one of the core reasons that I'm finding is that people think that AI is going to do all of this work. And there are a lot of things that AI can do. But the reality of the situation is that the role of the CX leader is changing. The role of the CX rep is changing. And I've been in this industry for 25 years, which is crazy because I started when I was 18 years old and I spent 6 months on phones and went straight into workforce management. So I'm pretty polished here. And I've seen a lot of the trends over the last 25 years. I've seen everybody ran this way to outsource and then they brought it back and then everybody went this, like, I've seen it all happen. At the end of the day, there are ways to finagle and operate, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, you still need good people because there's always going to be a gray area. And I think that what it means to be good is different than just being polite. I think CX people are becoming problem solvers and not just problem movers. So,
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. I think that there's certainly a major trend. Of course, AI is undeniable
mhm,
as a trend generally, specifically for support and for CX. But also there's this trend, a sort of a second level or third level trend, which is like you're saying, the roles are changing around this as well.
yeah.
The responsibilities, the skill sets, right? The all these pieces, process, it's all changing as well. And if you're busy managing a queue and managing a team and trying to not have a crazy backlog, and those are the day-to-day things that just keep they never go away completely.
Yeah.
But you also have to do this other piece, which is the analogy is fixing the airplane in mid-flight, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have to adjust course, fix the plane, and keep flying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's the name. I mean, that we say build the plane while it's flying. That's what it feels like. Even
Mhm.
if we do a help desk optimization or implementation, in some cases, you're doing that. People are actively working and we're in the background making changes that we're going to be rolling live and then we have to train people. There's a lot of things that you have to do like under the lid, and a lot of the proactiveness in, this industry is missing. So I always look at customer experience as being proactive, like looking ahead at what could possibly be coming and getting ahead of that. I don't think you can look ahead if you have never experienced it. And that's not a slight to anyone, it's just the reality of the situation. So listen to podcasts like this so that you can hear what other people have gone through and you can use that. And you can use that to your advantage to say, oh, I want to avoid that problem. I'm going to take this path instead. A lot of businesses see the customer role or the customer support role as reactive. And that's how I see customer service. So, something has happened, someone's contacted us, you need to fix it. And okay, that's fine. But like if we had been looking across the customer journey, we would have found that before and known that that needed to be fixed beforehand and we could have put something in place. So in my experience, realistically, I found that companies are more willing to spend tens of thousands of dollars to fix a problem that has already happened instead of spending a few $1,000s to fix a problem or to fix a problem before it happens. It's almost like they
Right.
gotta hit that and they go, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, we could have fixed that a long time ago. So I would love to see a shift more towards proactiveness, but I think if the company views the support team as a cost center, they're never going to want to invest for proactive things. And that's something that we have to shift. And I think that that shift comes from collecting valuable VOC and becoming like an advocate and a true voice for the customer to communicate out to the business on what the opportunities are. If we can get to the point where we're doing that and building templates around that and frameworks around that, I think that, the powers that be that make the decision that hold the pocketbook, they'll make some decisions for us that will be more on the, well, let's get ahead of that. You got to earn the trust, and it's hard.
Yeah, you're making some great points here. There's so many things I want to respond to. The VOC being upstream, right? A leading indicator, an early warning sign, a crystal ball of the future,
Yeah.
right? The VOC data is the first point of contact that's measurable that you can learn from, and it can influence all these things. You can be very proactive with VOC data, right? You can use that to go out and say, "Oh, here's a trend we just picked up on. We need to get ahead of this," right?
Yeah.
So that the VOC data and the analysis process around that is a huge thing. I like to talk about this quite a lot myself.
Yeah.
I think it's still underrated as much as it is discussed.
Yeah.
Just this treasure trove, and it's held by support. It's held by the service folks.
Mhm.
That is your treasure box.
Yeah.
And by treasure box, it's full of wonderful things, but it is concretely valuable to the business. And the other part I want to react to what you're saying is measuring the outcome in dollars,
Yeah.
right? I think you're going in this direction of it doesn't just feel good to have high CSAT or whatever.
Right.
There's quantifiable dollar signs at the end of all of these activities. And you bring the VOC data, you bring the dollar signs, you get leverage.
Yeah.
Simple as.
Yeah. I mean, I would venture to say, and I'm fine with anyone arguing me down, but service people are not salespeople. Being a salesperson is a different personality than being a service person. So for service people, the satisfaction in the role comes from genuinely helping someone, avoid an issue or recover from an issue.
Mhm.
There's a strong chance that while all of us, work to live, they're not as tied to the dollar amount. So they may not actually see that by proactively communicating with this customer around this particular issue, whatever it may be, that could save dollars. And when you multiply that by the number of times that people reach out for that, it could be a significant savings that we can turn into, the cost of a full-time equivalent or one person who works, 40 hours a week and show that to the company. And those are some of the things that I like to help people understand is the dollars that come with, the work that you're doing, right? So when I was at Thrive Market, I would focus more on the cost per contact than anything. And that was a hard sell because, everyone else is looking at the number. And I'm like, look at how much, like our cost per contact is consistently going down, which means we're far more operational. We're not hiring more people than we need. We're actually doing more with what we have because it's coming down, but the volume is growing. Right. And at that time, Thrive had everybody in house. And from what I understand, that's changed and there's no problem there. And I'm sure it's way cheaper now, don't get me wrong. But at that time, the goal was to have it was more of a retention team. But I think the opportunity there was that we hired service people for retention and they were not as driven by the dollars.
Mm.
Right. And so that's like that's one of those things. But I know when I was 19 years old, I was at Office Depot. That's where I started my career. I was in workforce management. And there was this opportunity for two of our teams. We have very strict service levels or, SLAs. So all phones then, this is 100 years ago, 80% of calls answered within 20 seconds. That's what it had to be. And so we were not meeting that goal. And of course, they come to our team to say what's missing. We have the staffing, what's going on. Turns out there was one change between these two groups. They handle mostly the same type of customer, but there was one key difference. So the question is, okay, if we were to teach everyone how to handle that one key difference, how long would it take? It would be a 30-minute training. Okay. Well, let me do the math on how much it would cost to do a 30-minute training for, say, 20 people. And let's see if I can get the budget approved for us to do overtime for that 30 minutes. And then we did that, and we literally, for all intents and purposes, we expanded that team twofold. And at the end of the day, we saved 2 FTE. So back then it was about $80,000 total. That's significant because the
Mhm.
cost of doing that training was not even 10%. It was very low. So that
Mhm.
little bit of an investment became a huge win for the company, because otherwise, had we not done that, the answer would have been, let's add 2 people to the team. So
Right.
those are small wins that CX people can do. We just need to be afforded the opportunity to pull back, because I know what it's like to be in the weeds and you can't see the forest through the trees, and you're just doing these one things, but there's no strategy around it. And we've got to enable support leaders to be able to take a step back and think. And sometimes that means giving them a private office. We're in this place of co-working and everybody sitting together, and sometimes they need space. That comes with saying, hey, it's okay to work from home today, because those thinking days really do bring together. Like, imagine having a thinking day where you can listen to podcasts and get ideas. You're going to go back to work on fire, you know?
Right. I think the there are so many demands on support leaders.
Yeah.
There are so many demands internally, externally, from customers, from managers, from leadership. There's so many demands, and the CX field of the scope is so big,
Mhm.
and it's overwhelming naturally. And you have the trying to build the airplane in the sky as it flies along.
Yeah.
And in that environment, what are the opportunities to get a handle on the chaos, remove chaos, to structure and to make those smart decisions? Yes, we're going to do a training. It's going to cost a little upfront. We're going to get this much out to be able to step back. It seems, and this is my opinion here, but it seems like you need experts at some level in certain areas. You don't just need somebody to come and tell you how to do everything,
Right.
but you need specialists for certain things. And usually there's three places experts can come from.
Mhm.
So you get lucky and you have an on-team expert
Mhm.
who's already with your team. Hopefully you don't have to hire an expensive expert full time. The second one would be a vendor or partner,
Mhm.
right? And they sell you a tool or they sell you a service and they provide their expertise together with that. And the third one would be the integrator or the outsource. It could be a BPO consultancy or something, right? Where they're actually providing just expertise and maybe manpower.
Yeah.
And so my point is that what do you think about this idea that like in one of these three areas you need to have an expert
Yeah.
for these relevant subjects? So maybe that's for workforce management, maybe that's for your AI self-service, maybe that's for you name it. What do you think about this?
I say this: if you think that it's expensive to hire an expert, try hiring an amateur. I don't know who made that quote, but I remember seeing it and it's true. Okay, I won't not
That is a good one. That lands, doesn't it?
example. I won't say which client this was, but go back a couple years. I had a client, they reached out to me. Actually, no, that's when I was like really going hard in the paint trying to find opportunities, and I found them. Anyway, I sent some information over to them. They called me back and they were looking for a CX manager. Excuse me, but from what I could see, that's not what they needed. And I could read it in the job description.
Mm,
The job description covered so many different facets, and I'm like, that team is in chaos and they're trying to hide things. I mean, pass things off. Excuse me. Give me 1 second, sorry.
sure, no problem. Take your time.
That was me last night in yoga class. I had a
Oh, I like yoga. It always opens up the breathing and
Oh
gets
yeah,
things moving.
really good for your mental.
Yep.
Okay. So I could tell from the job description that they were trying to do many, many things. So I was telling them, hey, this is what your opportunity is. Took 3 months of conversations. We get to the point of making a decision. They say, you know what? We're actually going to hold off. We think we found someone. I said, okay. We think you know them. It was a manager I previously worked with. They were thinking, oh, he's worked with you. He'll know how you do what you do. And I was like, well, let me know how it goes. Good luck to you guys. That was in September. February, I get a call. Can you guys start Monday? Nothing panned out the way that we thought. And I said, you know, so I think about it in terms of dollars and cents. The monies that were spent on the hire who couldn't scale but could talk the talk could have been invested earlier on. And some of the issues that we had to go back and repair could have been resolved initially. So my thing is, you know, even when I choose vendors to work with, yes, cost is a factor, but it's not the only factor. I'm looking for someone who can deliver results, someone who can execute, because at the end of the day, I don't want to have to pay twice. To pay twice to fix their mistakes by hiring someone to go back. Like, no, 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 no. If someone costs a little bit more, but what they're going to deliver is the outcome I need, that's where I go. And I think that companies sometimes will look at a cost instead of not looking at an investment.
Right.
What's the
Right.
ROI on that? What are you going to get back if you bring in CX Collective and we have improved your operations to the point of saving you 4 to 5 FTE? Our rate is nominal. Right. So,
Yeah, and I think, it's hard to get away from the short-sighted measurements,
yeah,
the short-term measurements, and lose sight of the full lifetime value that you could get from something. Um, I think it's just human nature, and it takes a certain type of leader
yeah,
to be able to see past that and to be able to make the rational argument for it as well. But absolutely, I agree with you that like this this landscape is full of opportunity if only you make the initial investment
yeah,
wisely, the right initial investment. There's so much potential out there right now.
yeah,
It's overwhelming, but there are great opportunities and there are great people beyond any vendor or tool. There are great people to work with who can give you the right advice, who can give you the right guidance and be trustworthy
yeah.
to do so. I think this word trust keeps coming up again and again as well, and it's obviously essential. But, you know, what are some of the ways that you think about you could give somebody a case study or you could give somebody some data points or something? But how do you think about communicating trust and verifying that things are actually effective?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I didn't build CX Collective to just be an advisory agency is because I wanted us to actually stand in it. So recommend something. The recommendation is coming obviously from what we've seen before, tailored to what that client needs. And then not only do we say this is what we recommend, but we do it. And I think that that in itself builds the trust. And
Hmm.
then, you know, some of our clients, like it's really hard to get people to write reviews. It's really hard to get people to write reviews, but our reviews that are out there are good. And if you ever check them out, what people will say is how we executed for them. So we
Mm,
stand in it with them because what I understand is that I can tell you how to do something 100 times, but that doesn't mean that you understand what to do.
right.
And so if we do it together and then I give you something that you are on the journey with, you see the outcome, now you can take it and make it your own. That in itself builds the trust. And then what happens is, you know, you let's say we are work like this has happened before. We had a one person brought us in at one company to do some work with them for a few months. That leader left the company, went to a new company, brought us in there. So then we end up becoming partners to these different leaders who are going out into these new companies to build their CX team and know that they need experts next to them, that the budget is not going to support full-time hires. So they bring us in, we help them, and they keep going. So it ends up being one, you have to like just do it to show that you can do it because talking about it is one thing, but actually,
Yeah.
you know, putting things out there. Another thing is I do a lot of, I say a lot, I'm going to do more, but I do workshops. I put a lot of things out on YouTube. I try to give people nuggets and information. I have playbooks. I try to give them stuff that they can actually use to almost
Hmm.
test, like, does this lady know what she's talking about? That's a good way to see it before you invest anything, or if you just want to do it yourself. But I
Hmm.
also think that the way that you get trust is by cultivating relationships and just being truly authentic, because people will then, they'll gravitate towards you, and not everybody's going to need what we do right away. They may never need it, but if they do, they know who to call.
Hmm. Yeah, said, and I think, that there's often this middle ground where you have a team of a certain size and you don't quite have the budget to hire that new person, but you need to get stuff done
Yeah.
that you can't today. And that's where hiring CX Collective,
Yeah.
partnering with an active vendor, partnering with a provider, getting your expert somewhere
Yeah.
in a fractional way, it could be month to month, right? You don't need to put down the FTE salary in order to reach that next level. And sometimes it's the wrong decision, even if you had the budget.
Yeah. Yeah, because we do our engagements, like, some clients will retain us for 10 hours a month. That's very little time, but they're always on our list. They're always on our roster. We're always checking in. We're always proactively looking for opportunities to help them. And then we have some that might jump in and just need a little bit of something done. Then we have some that, like, with us 2, 3, 4 years.
Hmm.
It really just depends. And, like, the feedback that I get typically is that people love how flexible we are, because I feel like it's our job to earn your business every month, you know. So
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lock you in. What is the purpose of doing that? My thing is,
Hmm.
if we're not doing a great job and you don't want to renew, that's an opportunity for us. I shouldn't have to force you to continue with our services. So I
Right.
think that when you show up every day with the best intention, you show up every day to do your best work, to actually solve issues and to help people get to the next step, that in itself is, you know, that's what builds the relationship. That's what gets, customers and clients coming back for 6, 7, 8 projects, because we don't try to prolong it. What if you're done, you're done. Thank you so much. And then they call again because there's something else that they want to do. That's the kind of relationship we like to have.
Absolutely. And to tie it back into your first story of the SWAT team dropping in,
Yeah.
there's some Mission Impossible people out there that will land on your airplane mid-flight and get in there and help you build it and
Exactly.
help you fix it.
I am going to steal that visual. You're going to see something on LinkedIn soon. That's pretty good.
But those people, no, message to the listeners, message to the CX leaders out there that are struggling and maybe don't have budget to allocate to a really big initiative or a really big hire or something, but you want to make progress on this key thing. That those secret agents are out there, and Ty Givens is one of them. Everybody, definitely reach out to Ty Givens. That's Ty Givens on LinkedIn. You can follow her and get more of her great content there. I also want to direct you to check out cxcollective.com/Ty, that's TY, to learn more. And that's it for the CX Files podcast this time. We will see you again. Bye.